Before I start, I'll just remind everyone here and those who might listen on YouTube that I'm in London on Saturday in Hampstead at the Philadelphia Association for a meeting, if you happen to be in London. And then in Nashville in 2 weeks' time, and then in Sacramento in 3 weeks' time. And people said to me that you'll never make a success of this. Little did they know. It's a strange kind of success, but there we are. You have to forgive me. I've got a cold and sore throat. Non-duality isn't something. There isn't a thing. It's not a thing. So non-duality simply means not two. Well, to my simple brain anyway, it means simply not two. So everything that we've made opposites, it can just be glaringly obvious. I don't know how or why, for no good reason. It can be obvious that all of the things that we've made completely separate, that never the twain shall meet, they're not two. Maybe the most significant of all is this notion of there is an absolute that could be found, that's hidden somewhere, that's hiding behind, that's in the depths. Really, what we're speaking of is that the mundane, the ordinary, the relative, is the absolute. The absolute isn't hidden. And you could say in that sense, there isn't an absolute. I'm not talking about knowing the absolute. Now, there are plenty of speakers who do speak about that they all say that you can know. Well, I'm telling you that I don't know. And I'm suggesting that no one knows. The only things that can be known are relative things. And that is not separate from the absolute. And maybe after the absolute and the relative not being two, none of this is significant, but I'm going to say it anyway. The most significant not two is life and death, aliveness and not aliveness. Thingness and nothingness. Emptiness and fullness. of course, it's not great news. It's dreadful news for the one who wants to find what they've been searching for, because it's devastating. It is the most devastating news you could possibly receive. You don't receive it, but if it's obvious, it is devastating, because there really is nothing to look for anymore. So the wonderful freedom is equally devastating for the one who wanted to find. Finding that there's nothing to find is not a finding. So whatever you fantasize that your favorite speaker, your favorite author, your favorite teacher has found, it can be really dreadful if it's obvious that, of course, they haven't found anything. How could they? There's nothing else. There is no finding. I could say that this is already found, but that's not true. And in a way, you could express this as the end of the road, a full stop. But of course, it's not a full stop. This is always beginning. The ending is the beginning. Darren asked me a question. We always have a chat before the meeting. And he said we were talking about, say what it was again, Darren. Was it?
You often hear that phrase, there's no escape from the dream.
Yeah. No, I don't refer to this as a dream very often. You don't hear me, because dream sounds as though there is some other reality. So dream, the way I feel about the word dream, it's always seems to imply that, okay, there is a dream, and of course you can wake up from it. That is what typically awakening speaks of. And so my understanding of that phrase would be, of course, there is no one to wake up, and there isn't one who could escape from the dream. Maybe the way I would say it is the sense of the dream is very different if it's not my dream. If I'm not the dreamer of the dream, there is only the dream. Really, it's no longer a dream. I know no difference between dream and real. There is no and really, really one of the motivations to speak about this is I know that for so many selves, they long to wake up. They long to escape from the dream to a reality that is higher, deeper, more real. Not this dream existence. Well, that's not what we're not speaking of that at all. I have no sense of that anyone woke up or that anyone could wake up. Where would you wake up to? So I mean, I say quite often that there's no escape, but I tend not to say from the dream. There's no escape from being human. You can't, you can fantasize about being a dog if you think it would be better being a dog, but that's a human fantasy of being a dog. You can try and kid yourself, or you can fantasize of other realms and dimensions and whatever else. But it's all beautiful, beautifully human. It's never something else. And I guess that's what is meant by escape from the dream. To somewhere else, to something else, where there simply isn't anywhere else. There isn't another time or place. And that doesn't, in essence, that's not making life better, but there is great peace in that. There's peace that passes all understanding. It doesn't make sense, doesn't need to make sense when there's nowhere to go. When you don't need to get somewhere else. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. If you'd like to ask a question, then put your hand up. Our sun's great. I've just seen Caleb. That's just reminded me. I didn't say if you're in Europe and the only talks out of London that I've got in Europe are in Copenhagen in October. They're on my website. And Caleb just reminded me of that. So you can have a look if you think that would be good. Marcus, are you in the pub? You look like you are.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Natalie. Hi.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi. would you mind talking a little bit about the not knowing of this? Because sometimes when that happens, it scares me,
Yeah.
even though, yeah, and then it's like, but what am I afraid of? Like, just, I feel like sometimes I kind of like thought I knew things, and then they're like, in just realizing I'll be talking to someone, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying, almost like, and now it's more a lot of times it's just like laughing a lot about it, just kind of like, who knows, but then sometimes it's like, I never know how it's going to feel, but sometimes it's like, okay, I really don't know what's going on, and no one else does either. I know we've talked about this. I've heard you talk about it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the reason that not knowing is, or certainly can be frightening, can create a lot of fear, is because that's what I am. I am what I know. And of course, the core of that knowing is I know myself.
Yeah.
And so at the center of knowing, this sense of knowing, of being certain that I know, the certainty is based on the certainty that I know myself. And if that starts to get a little shaky or wobbly, starts to feel a bit transparent, then you begin to doubt everything, you could say.
Yeah.
You doubt that you know anything.
Right. Yeah.
But all I could say is that really, I mean, there will be fear, almost certainly, why there is still a sense that I need to know in order to negotiate and manage my life. Otherwise, because the sense of knowing is the sense of I'm keeping all my shit together. And if I don't know, then it will all fall apart. Well, you could say reality is that you already don't know anything. So
yes.
in the losing of the sense of knowing, nothing is actually lost.
Yeah. Like, I thought I knew. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
No, I just gonna say, it was almost like, I thought that there had to be a sense of like this firm self that's solid to be moving around in life. I thought that. And then it's like, well, I don't know anything. I was just like almost pretending I knew, or just kind of like thinking I knew. And once that kind of just, well, it can still come up. And then I might start laughing mid-sentence, like, I really don't know what the hell I'm saying. But it's just kind of funny how I felt like there needed to be a sense of me as a human, as a person.
Yeah.
And I still don't know. I mean, I still don't know anything. I'm still in the same boat, I still don't know anything. So, I mean, I'm getting off track, but yes.
No, but yeah, that all makes perfect sense.
Oh, good.
Well, I'd be amazed if anyone loses their conviction in what they know, especially the conviction that I know myself, that I am aware of myself, I'm conscious of myself, I know who I am. Because if that's been the basis of the human being called Natalie's life, then when that becomes even a little bit less solid, less certain, then there's almost certain to be some fear in that.
Yeah.
I'd be amazed if there wasn't any.
Yeah. Luckily, it doesn't come up.
Really, the loss of the certainty in knowing is no loss at all.
Yeah. True.
But don't go around telling other people. They won't like it.
I already did all that. It didn't work out too well. Yeah, it didn't work out.
Never works out well, that.
No. I just keep quiet about that now.
The worst thing you could ever say to a person who's certain in their own knowledge is that they already don't know anything.
Right.
I mean, it can be fun, but you got to be prepared for the backlash.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yes.
Choose your
For
moment.
certain. Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. What did Bikash say?
Don't talk about it to Dad.
Well, why not?
Oh, Razia, do you have a question? I saw your message. You can't find the hand button. Yeah, just unmute yourself.
Hi, Raja.
You're still muted. There you go.
Okay, basically we were talking about knowledge, and something that concerns me is that there is so much of knowledge available. I mean, whether one looks at non-duality writings, the Vedas, or whatever books being written about it, but we discount everything and say that we know nothing.
Oh no, I'm not saying you know. I'm saying no. You know what you say you know, but what I'm suggesting is the knowledge is empty. That's really what I mean when I say you don't know. So yeah, every human being can say they know what they know, but so what?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, there's so much that is known if one has to go and read up stuff, right? And then people say, oh, why are we reading up stuff now? We should just see this as a blank slate, you know? Like Michael says, blank slate. If you're a blank slate, it's easier to paint on, you know, kind of a thing, like canvas. So, but yet I also feel that there's so much available out there. And people are not, like, I mean, they'll quote Nazakadatta saying, unborn, deathless. But what more do they know about him, you know? And what more do they know about Ramahan, I can't even say that name. but that's just it, like, and people are always saying, it is, we don't know, but there is something that is known, that is known in all these books, that comes through, and which is being repeated by you and people like you all the time.
Well, I hope you don't think I'm repeating Ramana Maharshi, Raja.
Well, how are you different from me?
I never got past the first page, so I don't think I'm repeating what he said.
Yes, but I mean, the things that we say are basically common stuff. It's not like now and then you read something new, like someone will say something that like tickles your brain in a different way. But otherwise, it's the same thing. So why do we still say we do not know?
It seems obvious that we don't know, Raja.
Yes, I mean, I know Aristotle said not knowing.
I know
the other person said.
Well, everyone knows what they think they know. That's how it is.
Yes, but I mean, for the sake of this thing, there must be something that is known. It's not totally unknown. So there is this shared experience, there's a shared experience.
Yeah, I do think.
So it's not totally.
I think that's very common for most people to feel that there must be something. Yeah. I do think that it this can't be about nothing. It must.
Okay, Tim. You talk about certain things. Newman will talk about it. Michael will talk about it. Nancy will talk about it. don't you think there's a commonality that runs through the dream? Is that not knowing at least something? Like knowing that there is a kind of a shift that's happening, that there is a seeing that's happening, there's a non-doership.
No, so I'm not denying knowing. So it's not.
Yeah.
No, because it's not that I've lost all the knowledge that I had. It's that all the knowledge is seen to be worthless.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, maybe worthless.
It's not.
Yeah. Okay, there is a point where we can't go beyond. I can say that.
I'm not talking about even going to. I'm not even talking about approaching a point, Razia. There isn't a point to approach, let alone go beyond. There is no point.
It's pointless.
It's beautifully pointless. Yeah.
But
for me,
for
the pointlessness
purposes,
is the beauty of it.
But for discussion purposes, shouldn't there be my duality for that matter? Because there is duality as it is. I am talking, you are listening. So there must be this point of where people get to that and they say, no, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't answer your questions. I don't know what happens after death. I can guess at it. I can have visions, but I mean, how can those visions be true if they're happening in a dream? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there must be some point where we are. That's what brings us together, is community.
Yeah, there are as many reasons and points as there are human beings.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Michael says in the chat, thinking you don't know is thinking that at least you know that.
Yeah, I don't know though. I mean, there would be real knowing, wouldn't it? I mean, that would be that would be something if I knew that. I haven't got a clue whether I know or not. That's the truth. That's what I mean by not knowing. I don't know knowing from not knowing. I mean, it is fine if you know that you don't know. That's quite a nice place to land. You'd be comfortable there. And I do know plenty of people who have landed there and could stay there for, well, maybe a lifetime. That's not what I'm speaking about, landing in a place of not knowing. No. So maybe I should add to the list of, not two, knowing and not knowing are not two. You just don't know whether you know or don't know. And the wonder is you couldn't give a shit. Do you know, maybe, I haven't mentioned the L word tonight, maybe that's the greatest love of all. Not giving a shit whether you know or you don't know, and really not knowing the difference between the two. And it is lovely when you really don't care who thinks they know. You know how precious it's been when you were a seeker, if you still are, or you still want to know, that need to know. And you just go to those who say they do, because they'll tell you, and they've got these pearls of wisdom to impart the truth. They know reality. And so this is different from any message that says you could know reality, or there is a reality that could be known. It's very different, because I'm suggesting there isn't one. And if there fucking is, you ain't gonna know it. So, so get up and eat some cornflakes and smell the roses. You know, simple.
Like Tim, when you were a kid and like the only thing you needed to know was what was for lunch and who you're going to play with that day. You know, that's all you cared about. You're just like, what am I going to do today? And
What do you mean?
sometimes what?
What do you mean? Like today?
No, like when I was a kid.
You just
But
no, you
now,
just described my day today.
yes, that's
So,
my day now.
Chicken
Yes.
soup for lunch. Chicken soup for lunch. My brother came round to play. We played golf. I sit down and do a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It's like now that's my life. Like I'm like a kid again sometimes. Not always. I have to do
No.
the adult thing, you know,
No.
but yeah, but it's like really just like, what am I gonna do today? I'm gonna make something, you know, or it's just fun. I like it. But I liked what you said because I don't know that I don't know, and I don't really care. I mean,
No, that's really my
yeah,
opinion,
yeah, I like that.
because it really doesn't matter. It does matter to me because I rest in knowledge. You know, the ground I stand on is my knowledge. That's where self lives and thinks is precious. You know, my beliefs. I say knowledge. I mean, there is a special kind of knowledge, which is what I believe in, what I have faith in. You know how precious that knowledge is to self. I mean, self can get desperate if that starts to crumble. So I made roast chicken yesterday and I had a chicken leftovers. So I made, following my mum's recipe, I made chicken vegetable soup, well, like broth, cooked for 2.5 hours on the lowest heat, while my brother and I played golf, and we came back and there it was. Well, really, does life get any better than that? In my brother's view, he's just arrived, it doesn't get any better. Oh, he's just said a dumpling. The only improvement I could have made with dumplings. Next time. For those of you who don't know dumplings, suet, beef suet, flour, sitting on the top. Marcus, what are you doing?
Just being in a bar.
I knew you were pissed.
A little bit.
Right, show some fucking respect.
Evie has a hand up.
Hi, Evie.
Hi, is my voice audible?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, this theme of fear also was kind of what Natalie brought up a little bit, anxiety or fear or something like that. Is interesting, and I've wondered like whether we have any choice over it, like when it stops or when it shifts or whatever, because seems that things just happen by their own time, and I don't know if there's any choice in it. Do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, there's no choice at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically then it.
That's it. No, that is it. Yeah. I mean, whether there's a sense that you do have a choice, there's no choice in that. So you might have a sense that there's a choice. You don't have a choice whether there's a sense of choice or the sense that is choiceless. Or just because it's not that. It's very natural for human beings, because when I say that there's no choice, I don't know this, but I feel that it may be heard that without me, there would never be the sense of making choices. No, of course, that's nonsense. Of course, choice is absolutely natural. What I'm suggesting is you don't have any choice about whether you choose or what you choose. It's all choiceless. So the choosing and the appearance of choice, that's equally choiceless. So not only do you not get to choose anything about what's feared and what's not feared or what emotions appear. I mean, most people, I think most selves have a sense, particularly intellectual selves, that they can have choices over thoughts. Thought control is very popular, isn't it? But most human beings are less successful or feel that they have less choice about emotion, about feelings.
Yeah, true.
Really, it's all the same. Everything just appears as it appears. Everything is just as it is. Always. And of course, it's only, I don't like this, so therefore I don't like this makes it wrong.
Yeah.
But of course, there is nothing wrong. And then I like this, so this is right. Of course, there's nothing right. Because what self wants is, I want more, more often it to feel right and less often to feel wrong. Well, if self makes things wrong, then, you know, if I'm longing for everything to feel all right, then inevitably most of the time it feels wrong.
Yeah. I recognize that very well.
Oh, I do too, yeah. And so I'm not saying that without a solid sense of being me, that everything will feel right. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that everything will just be as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no choice about it.
But there is what there is. I can't say it all feels right at all, but there is an okayness with everything just being as it is that's very hard to talk about. And really, I mean, you could say that's unconditional love, that, and the unconditional part is that everything just as it is. Unconditionally as it is. All conditions, no exception. Completely inclusive.
But can there be like more subtler levels, sort of, with the okayness? Like, can there be more subtle levels kind of fighting with it, or kind of?
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say that's normal for human beings to be. Sometimes it feels okay for everything to be as it is. That's usually when it's going my way. And then times when it's not okay, because things aren't going how I want them to be.
Yeah.
But by okayness, I mean that it's okay that it's not okay. I don't mean it'll feel okay all the time. I mean, that's just another fantasy, you know, that life, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
No, when it's shit, it's shit. But what I'm saying, what I'm suggesting is that when life is shit and painful, there can still be an okayness with it not being okay. It's hard to talk about.
Why is it hard to talk about?
Sorry, say that again.
Why is it hard to talk about it?
Well, because it doesn't make sense, does it? It can't be okay that it's not okay, can it? Rationally. That's not rational, is it? It's either okay or it's not okay. Tell me what it is. And, you know, it's not okay. I need to sort it out. It is okay. I'll leave it as it is. You know, that's where most human beings live, in that kind of paradigm. And what I'm suggesting is it's always okay. Or there is an okayness with everything just being as it is, no matter how painful, possibly dreadful that life feels.
Yeah, I remembered yesterday this serenity prayer that they use in the 12-step groups, like there's the serenity, and then there's the, you know, accepting the things that you can't change, and then courage to change what you can, and then wisdom to know the difference between them. And sometimes I used to, you know, repeat that many times in my life, and yesterday it came to my mind again because of all the struggles that I'm having. And so there's some sense in it somehow, some clarity in it.
Yeah, there is.
But the personal me wants to do everything by itself and in its own book.
Yeah.
Is how things should be. And yeah.
But of course, I mean, there is, I mean, it's quite beautiful, that serenity prayer, but of course it is just another job for me.
Yeah.
Be accepting of the things that I can't change. It's still asking me to do a job.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been resistant and now I need to be more accepting.
Yeah, you can whip yourself with it.
It's another stick to hit yourself with, probably.
Yeah. But it can also work like.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it can.
When it's done from like a different place, it can work. But yeah. Well, thanks.
Oh, thanks, Evie.
I saw your hand, David, but Razia just has a quick question. She asked in chat. Go ahead, Razia.
No, what I was going to ask, like we always talk about people being choiceless. And now obviously they are choosing coffee, they are choosing things, they're making choices out there. And then you say to them, you are choiceless. Now they're obviously like, now it confuses the brain. How am I choiceless? You understand? So, but I feel that there is a certain point, once again, a point where it happens that you start to realize that at a subtle level, you are not doing nothing. Like the last speaker, Evie did point out that there's a subtlety to this, right? And at that level, there is no doer. Well, there's no choosing. It happens all on its own. Now, how do you say to people that there is this? Things are just happening, you know? Don't you have to experience it to know?
I think that's what I said, Razia. Not in those words, but
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
what I was saying.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
some,
look at that. I find that so hard. Like how do you, like when people say to you, where's the observer?
it's funny
Oh,
because
where's the non-do? Yes.
we can
How
say
do you
we can
them?
say the same thing, and here we're saying very different things. I mean, there's
Yeah,
communication for you.
yeah. But there is like I agreed with what Evie says, that there is a subtlety to it. That's when you know, that there's no choice.
See, I don't. Yeah,
Well, I didn't hear you saying it that way, so probably. But forgive if I misunderstood.
yeah.
Thanks.
All I would say is, yeah, choosing seems to happen. That's it. That's all. And the only difference between that and how it used to be is, of course, I would have said that I'm the chooser. That's all. Choosing happens, choices are made, but there is no chooser thereof. Gautama Buddha. Don't want to get all Buddhist today, but there we go. He said something like that. Allegedly.
David has a hand up. You're muted. Oh, yeah.
Everything's
Lovely to see you, David.
Chris and peanuts. Yeah, here I am. No show without punch. I was going to say, well, it might not seem relevant now. Yeah, that Buddha quote it's never been tracked down, I don't think. Somebody used to make a big deal of it. Who was it? Balsikar.
Oh,
Ramesh Balsikar.
yeah, he was all non-doership, yeah.
Yeah. But they reckon he just made it up. That makes it even better, really.
What, are you saying that Ramesh made it up?
It's never been traced.
It's never been traced. Oh,
It's a good one.
It's great having an academic on the show because, you know, you're pulling those kind of pearls.
No.
Right.
It's like the Bible. I mean, if it's been made, if it was made up,
Somebody's been making it up. What,
been
like
reading-
the Bible?
it's even better. This isn't going to sound particularly relevant now, and it's the business of the okayness.
Yeah.
And words get increasingly useless for these things. The further down the line you go, the more useless they become.
True.
But the hunch might be that the okayness is to do with, without exception, everything being equally empty. That's a kind of guess from me.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't think that much can be said, really.
That's a pretty good guess.
Well, but the problem is that for Joe Soap, that's a hell of a fucking leap. Despite your protestations to the contrary, that there's no difference between, you know, you and blah, blah, blah. But it's huge. Come on.
Yeah.
Poor suckers.
Well,
basically.
well, the thing is, it does appear, it does seem a chasm that would have to be leapt. But of course, there isn't a chasm to be leapt. So when you say it is a great leap, yeah, of course it does look that way. But then there isn't another side of the river, you know. There's another Buddhist, they probably made that up as well, you know, about getting to the other side.
Mm.
When you're on the other side, of course, it's realized that, of course, you were always on the other side. Well, there was no other side. But there isn't, yeah, so the leap, it does seem an outrageous leap, yeah. But for most, they won't even see the leap, David. So I mean, I don't concern myself with that because most won't even see the chasm.
I think most people
won't even see that there could be a leap that might be, let alone that there isn't one.
I don't know, words. it's this notion that nothing happens, but it seems massive, you know, at the same time. Yeah. Jim Newman said something which I thought was quite something. No, that's a kiss of death, of course. I like it. But it's unbelievable until it's undeniable. Again, that seems like a huge leap, but I find it quite helpful in a way.
Yeah.
Because it is unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
at some moment which doesn't
Absolutely
exist,
unbelievable, yeah.
at some moment which doesn't exist, it suddenly becomes undeniable. We're wasting our time talking here, aren't we?
Oh, totally. Isn't it lovely?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can't think of anything I'd rather do.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my
And
Right.
well, there may be chicken soup and golf, but
Mm.
I'm getting it all in one day, so yeah, no complaints.
Or crisps and peanuts, which is what I'm having just now.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, thank you. That's
No, thanks,
my
David.
little bit.
Don't quote Jim Newman in my meetings again.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you're joking.
I was just looking for that quote because I remember Ramesh saying that a lot. And I did find something on it saying, yeah, it isn't the Buddha, but it's something which sounds very similar from a quote about 1,000 years later after Buddha. And that quote was quoting the ancients, apparently. And they said something like, there is
Any
no
old ancient will do.
Yeah. There's no doer of a deed or one who reaps the deed's results. This is a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
That was Max Bygraves.
Yeah.
It was Max Bygraves, I'm sure.
Wonderfully, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Sing along a Max.
But interestingly, just one last thing is I think, and I don't know a great deal about Buddhism, but there is this kind of shroud of, it's the inner sanctum, isn't it? The Buddhist teachings, the inner sanctum is emptiness. It's the emptiness teachings. And you have to be at the very top of your game and the very height of the pyramid to even be allowed into that.
Yeah.
So
It's like
something.
it's like we've gate crashed, haven't we? It's like
You're absolutely
gate
right.
crashed into the inner sanctum.
How dare you?
We've
Because
like stormed the door.
We've stormed the gateless gate.
Well, do you know, it wasn't hard to get through, was it?
No.
Finding it wasn't there, I can just walk straight in.
But it is quite interesting.
Yeah.
As far as I know, the absolutes, your Dzogchen and all this kind of stuff, once you get into it, it's emptiness. That's what they're banging on about. But the minions aren't allowed near that until they've done 1 million prostrations and 300 somersaults a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway. But all kinds of ties up. That's me done. I promise.
That old Buddhist quote, there is no crasher of the gate.
Put it.
David's got
Put it out on the internet.
Yeah.
Right, see if it can go viral.
David's got his hand up.
Hi, David.
Hi. I just appreciate very much this whole thread, what David Williams offered, and the sense of not needing to know. It's just simply like not knowing and not being happy with not knowing, of course, generates a lot of fear. But when there is not knowing and not needing to know, it's like the emptiness that's obvious, that's undeniable, is the only emptiness. It cannot be studied. It cannot be searched for and found. There's nothing there. That obviousness, that undeniableness of the reality that's present And from that, sure, there can be things to be known, like the way home, or when to take the eggs off the stove, or when to turn off the porridge or the dumplings, which mouth to put the spoon in, etc. But those knowings are not knowings of need to know. There's simply the functional aspect of life.
Yeah.
Even academic studies convince people that they know things, and they're very essential to civilization, and yet it's not knowing in the sense that we're talking about knowing. The knowing that we're speaking of is beyond all academics. It's only that which is undeniable, and undeniably there's nothing to know.
Thanks,
So
mate. That's
I get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Well, it is funny. I mean, what sort of perverts are we that we get a kick out of this not knowing emptiness? I mean, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a bunch of weirdos.
How more weird can you get?
You can't get any more. Oh,
Oh boy. Hey,
but yeah, no,
thanks, Tim.
that's lovely. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Tim.
It's true. Fancy getting a kick out of it. I mean, that's funny.
Evie's got a hand up.
Evie.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to this last sharing that maybe life is on need to know basis. So
Yeah. So life is on a need to know basis. And there's no you to know, and there's no need to know. Yeah, how incredible. Yeah, me and my need to know. And it's only self-insecurity. That's all it is. I mean, it's all innocent. It's all beautiful. You know, it's not that. Self is innocently just looking out for itself. Self is just full of self-interest. Terrified of getting it wrong, making mistakes, getting ill, getting old, and of course, death. I think maybe the greatest liberation of all is if it's undeniable. Don't ask me how, but if it is undeniable that death isn't waiting in some, you know, the Grim Reaper is not hiding around the corner, just waiting for you to appear at some future moment. Death is ever present, that life and death are not two. Death is here. So death isn't a reality that might happen, that will happen, that could happen. Death is just as real as life. They're not two. And if death is life, of course, being afraid of death is being afraid of life. And that's how I see most human beings, terrified of living for fear of death. Well, on that cheery note, Well, thanks everyone. Oh, I thought I got through without coughing.
Hey, Tim, can I just add one thing? This is Jen.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I wrote down something that you said sometime in the past couple of months, and it's been so helpful. You said, if I had a path, it might be exhaustion. And I just loved that because I think there is like a burning out, maybe even a boredom that finally begins to happen. Like I'm so bored with myself, or I'm so exhausted from myself. And both those things, anyway, that was helpful when you said it. I came across it and I'm like, yeah, we don't even realize that how exhausting it is to be a me. We just don't realize it. And then as soon as I start, within 48 hours of accepting that it was exhausting, it became and it's boring, which really made me laugh. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thanks. That's lovely. I'll add one more, failure. That's a good one.
Yes. That I think that was part of the same.
You can add that to the list.
Yes. And then you added with that one, as is success. Like, we're so afraid of failure, but then we're also, there is no success. So, terrific. Thank you. Today's class was just wonderful. Everybody, thank you. Great questions. Great conversation.
Oh, thank you. Well, how lucky am I that I get all you sad weirdos turn up on a Thursday. It's just wonderful.
Well, we love how you presented as well.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Because I know I thank everyone, and I put a post on Facebook thanking everyone. Now I get some shit for that. It's like people go, non-duality police. Who are you thanking? Who do you mean by everyone? And I just want to tell them all to fuck off. There we go.
Yeah. Well, you just did it. So thank you.
Oh, you're
Yes,
welcome.
thank you, Tim. Thank you.
That's going on YouTube.
Yeah. Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, love to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye-bye all.